This is Tim Staten with Tim Stating the Obvious. What is this podcast about? It's simple. You are entitled to great leadership everywhere you go, whether it's to church, whether it's to work, whether it's at your house, you are entitled to great leadership. And so in this podcast, we take leadership principles and theories and turn them into everyday, relatable, and usable advice.
And a quick disclaimer. This show, process, or service by trademark manufacturer, or otherwise does not necessarily constitute an implied endorsement of anyone that I employed by or favors them in representation. The views are expressed here in my show are my own expressed and do not necessarily state or reflect those of any employer.
Hey, and welcome back to another episode. This is episode 25. We did it. We finally achieved our goal of hitting 25 episodes this year. And it's all thanks to you. I want to take a quick moment and thank you for listening, subscribing, and doing all the things, hitting all the bells and whistles and sharing the show and getting this show out there. We made tremendous growth this year, and that's all thanks to you. And I'm super excited about everything that we have accomplished this year, especially about achieving our goal of 25 episodes this year. And my goal for next year is to do another 25 episodes and grow our community and enhance our engagement with each other. So I'm going to start doing more live episodes, either on Podbean Live or on YouTube Live, mainly because I want to be able to interact with you. I want to be able to talk to you about a topic and you engage back and get real-time feedback. So it's not just so one way. So that way we can get a actual discourse and actual discussions going. So in this episode, we're going to be talking about what will keep you from achieving your goals in 2024. But before we dive into the specifics, I want to take a quick look about what fears we may have going into 2024. And I want you to listen to me on this. I really want you to hear me. So listen up. Do not live in fear. Do not let fear control you, right? Don't let fear influence what you cannot control or what you cannot do or think you cannot control. Fear does nothing for you. And you know what fear is? It's false evidence appearing real. Think about that for a second. Just turn on any news station and start scrolling through any of your social media feeds and you will immediately be bombarded with things that will make you fearful, right? You're bombarded by things that you cannot control. And it's only fair and justifiable that this is the case because 33% of the people polled state that economic problems are a big fear. From the economy in general to inflation, moving into a deflation period, the federal budget, and this is a big one, right? So let's pray that Congress can figure out how to get along and how to figure the whole budget thing out moving forward. And so those are the top three economic concerns. The other 70% have non-economic concerns, and that's government and poor leadership, immigration and open borders, increase in crime and violence. They got healthcare issues, international issues, and war in the Middle East. So these are things that you and me, the everyday average person, we have no control over those things. We have no influence, really, over any of those things, except for when it comes to an election year, which we are entering into one. So if you vote, please go out and vote. I don't care how you vote. It is your right to vote, so go ahead and exercise your right to vote. So I'm going to offer this up. Think about those people who are really successful, right? You just picture a person in your mind who you think is super successful. And I'm going to tell you that they do not worry about the things that they cannot control. They focus on the things that they can control. They make goals and objectives to accomplish it, and then they get after it. With that, I want to talk about things that we can control, but also things that will get into our way of accomplishing our goals for next year. So the first one is having a lack of clarity with our goals. You know, people struggle with the ability to define clear, specific goals for the next year. That makes it challenging for them to create a detailed plan. So I offer up to you, here's how you can overcome that. You can use the SMART goal criteria. And what that means is you have to make goals specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and timely, right? Bind them to time when you're defining your goals. You need to make sure that when you're talking about your goals, you need to say by this date, I want to do X, Y, and Z. So if you have a yearly goal, make sure you set up sub-goals that support your overall goal that inch you towards with consistency. Consistency is key. That inch you forward with consistency towards your yearly goals and your monthly goals and your quarterly goals on that one. You got to ensure that your goals are clear, they're quantifiable, they're feasible, and they align with your broader strategy of what you want to do, and they're realistic. You got to be able to achieve it. If you have a weight loss goal, you cannot say, I want to lose 50 pounds in 1 month. That's probably not going to happen. That is not realistic. You could say, I want to lose 2 to 3 pounds a month. That's a realistic goal. Even like this show. I had a goal of achieving 25 episodes a year. This year is the first year that we've made that. I thought it was a realistic and achievable goal. And it was, because it took me 3 years to figure out how to do it, but it's doable, right? The other thing that might help you create a better vision of what you want to accomplish, right, to make it more clear, is create a vision board. Visual aids can be a powerful tool when we create them. If you have a hard time of thinking in pictures, and I think in pictures all the time, if you're having a hard time of thinking in pictures, then print out and put on like a little cork board where you want to be, what you want to do, what are the symbols associated with where you want to be and what you want to do, or your aspirations to get to. And you need to display that where you can see it regularly, so it's a visual reminder of, this is what I want to get to. This is what I want to get to. So I'm going to appeal to some of you right now who are going to say, you know what? I want to be financially free. I want to travel the world. I want to do what other people don't do. I want to be able to eat on the beach in Croatia, and I want to have a great time, and I also want to be able to do my work. That's great. Print it out, put up on a board. That's where your goal is, and you need to visually remind yourself of that. Because every day we get bombarded and distracted with all the noise around us. So create that vision board so you can visually see where you want to be and where you want to go, right? And then we also have to remind ourselves, we got to break down our bigger goals into smaller, achievable ones. Again, we talked about that before. You have your smarter goals that are time-bound for the year. What are your quarterly goals? What are your monthly goals? What are your weekly goals? And then what are your daily goals that all work together consistently to build towards your goals? And if you're not living your life with the Pareto principle, with 20% of your output gives you great 80% of your outcome, right? So if you're not living that way on achieving your goals consistently, you're never going to achieve them. You're going to start to be doing 80% of the things that don't really matter. And then you need to invest the time into your own personal and professional development activities. We've talked about this, for the last several months, about personal development, professional development, and team development. And you got to take accountability for yourself. No one's going to be able to be accountable for you other than you. No one's going to be accountable for you than you. And if you don't take your own time to invest in yourself, nobody else will. You'll have some people who'll say, hey, I'm here for you. I'm here to help you out, and I want to bring you up, and I want to bring you along. But at some point, if they notice that you don't have a self-drive or self-determination to get to where you want to go, they're going to drop you. It's just what it is. So another thing that keeps us from achieving our goals is procrastinating. We hinder ourselves and we get in our own way because we delay in the planning process, and we feel like, oh, I got time to do that. I've got time to do that. And some of us think, well, if it only takes a minute to do it, I'm going to wait till the last minute to do it because it only takes me a minute. Well, I have found over the years that if I put something off tomorrow that I can do today, then it will most likely not get done because something else will pop up that I will make more important than that, because my priorities aren't right. And that's because I'm stuck in a procrastination mindset. I'm stuck in a mindset of where I'm like, I'll do it later. It's never going to happen. So if it's going to take you 5 minutes to do it, take that 5 minutes to do it. If it's going to take you 1 minute to do it, take that 1 minute and do it. If you know you need to do something towards your goals, carve out an hour to 2 hours a day of, I'm going to put this time towards my goals and achieve what I'm going to achieve. And if you do that consistently and you plan appropriately, then you won't be procrastinating, right? And then we've talked about fear and fear of failure. That will keep you from your goals next year. If you are afraid of that you're going to fail, guess what? You will fail because you are afraid to fail. Your mind cannot handle the negative. So if you're saying, I don't want to fail. If you say I don't want to fail, you're going to fail because we can't understand don't. Your mind says I'm failing. If you're like, you know what, I'm going to succeed, that's a positive. Your mind already knows you're going to succeed. You know you're going to do well. And the moment you allow fear to creep in, like we talked about at the beginning, it's going to be drastic and detrimental, 1, to your mental health, 2, to your goals and objectives, because it's going to paralyze you from even attempting to plan to move forward. And then you're going to find yourself moving back into that procrastination phase that we talked about. And then the other thing about fear of failure goes into uncertainty about the future. And we've already talked about this. There's rapidly changing circumstances that create an uncertain environment right now. And it makes it hard for people to plan and makes you feel unsure and insecure about what's going to lie ahead. Should I take out that $50,000 business loan? Even though I really want to start up my personal business, do I really want to take the chance that next year, things might not go so well? The housing market's going to crash or something else is going to happen and I can't afford to do this. So you know what? I probably shouldn't do this business next year because I'm afraid about the future. You have to make a realistic, educated guess and an educated plan on opening up your business. But if you constantly are like, well, I don't know, we might go to World War III tomorrow, so I'm not going to do anything. You're never going to do anything, because those that aren't worried about the things they cannot change aren't stuck in that mindset. And they're moving forward. They're succeeding. They're figuring out how am I going to get through this? And they're going to be the one succeeding, and you're going to be the one looking around going, man, why is everybody else doing so well and I am not? How are they succeeding in such an uncertain future? Well, it's because they're certain about their future regardless of the situation, because they're going to control the things that they can control, right? So let's talk about a lack of time management skills. I think this is a big one too. I notice all the time that a lot of people think they have really good time management skills, right? Oh yeah, I can multitask and I can do all these different things. Well, that's not necessarily a good thing, and I used to be one of those people like, oh, I could do like 50,000 things at once. Well, I just did 50,000 things at once and it was all crap, right? It was all substandard performance and it wasn't all that great, but I thought because I did a lot of it, that was amazing. And now I'm realizing, you know what? I'd rather do one or two things really, really well than 50 things mediocre. And that's just kind of how it goes over time. What I focus my time on are the things that matter. I use the Pareto principle. And if you haven't really looked into that, I have several episodes on that. You can take a look at that. But you've got to be able to look at your time and go, you know what? This is what I can invest in. This is what is going to be valuable and move me towards my goals. I stopped playing video games 3.5 years ago because I found myself thinking about my goals while I was playing the video games, spending, hour here, an hour there. And before you know it, I was playing in the evening about 3 to 4 hours of video games, just talking to people online and playing and, just enjoying myself. But that time was wasted because it wasn't productive time. Unless I was like a professional gamer or a Twitch streamer where people could watch me play and it would bring in some type of money or make me go towards my goals, it was just mindless entertainment, which served no purpose towards any of my goals. So I realized if I'm going to spend the time to do that, I might as well spend the time to do something worthwhile and make sure that I prioritize my time right, which leads me to the next topic of making sure that we have the ability to prioritize. Some of us may struggle with that, like what's really a priority. And I hear this all the time. I don't know what's so important. Should I do this first or should I do that first? Or should I focus on this strategy or should I focus on this thing over here? Or I want to start up this business and I got all this startup money and I bought all the product, but I can't really sell it all. And then a couple months later, like, well, I sold it all, but now I don't have any products, so I'm going to take the store down. You got to prioritize. You got to put things in perspective and prioritize according to your goals, and that leads you into more effective planning. If you do not have your yearly goal and backwards plan from that, then you're not going to prioritize your time correctly. And then we all have external distractions, right? We're all humans. We do not live in a bubble. And I think most of us wish that we did live in a bubble. And some of us do. Don't get me wrong. Some of us walk around this earth and they are completely oblivious to everybody else and anything else that goes on. But we have external distractions, right? We have our work. We have our families, we have our extended families, we have responsibilities. If you got kids, you got unexpected events popping up left and right. Oh, Dad, I got this thing coming up over here. Oh, Dad, I got this trip coming up over here. Oh, hey, the school wants this donated for the PTA. Or, hey, we got this thing over here I volunteered you for. Hey, can I go to soccer practice? Can I go to baseball? Can I go to football? Oh, by the way, we got this weekend trip that we got to do because we want to spend family time together. And all those things are great. And they need to happen with quality time. Don't get me wrong, but it's still a distraction from our goals. So if we don't prioritize correctly, you're going to be working on all your goals and then you're going to be ended up by yourself and alone by the time you achieved them all. So how do you find that balance between limiting external distractions and achieving your goals while still maintaining a balance, right? So take a look at that. And I think a lot of people, they realize that it's there, they realize it's a real thing, but they don't necessarily put the right effort in the right place to really, how do I minimize my external distractions? Me, I got rid of video games. So another thing that's going to keep you from achieving your goals next year, specifically next year, when things change, when the markets change, when the world changes, when we go through changes and times of uncertainty, which we are, when you rely on a past strategy that had worked for you in the past and you try to apply it now, it may not work. You're going to have to find a new way to achieve your goal. You're going to have to find new approaches and new ways to get after it. And you got to be innovative. I use the word innovative because you have to be your own self-innovator when it comes to getting after your goals. Because what you did in the past to get you to where you are today will not continue to work on into the future. It is just a fact. And there's a great book written called Who Moves My Cheese? And it's about this thing, right? It's about, well, I did all these good things and I achieved this level of success, but I really can't get any higher up on the ladder of success. I don't know what's going on. Well, it's because the ladder is different when you get to different stages of life, when you get to different levels of responsibility. So the things that you did to get you where you are won't continue to get you to where you need to go. So you got to change your mindset. You got to change your strategies. So I would offer up, go to my website, timstatingtheobvious.com, click on the professional reading list, and down below is the most recently added book. You can check out the book cover, the synopsis of it written by the author, and then you can click on the link and it'll take you to Amazon and you can buy the book from there. So I have that professional reading list out there for everybody. So if you don't know where to start on reading, you can at least get some ideas and take a look from there. Okay. And then the other thing is we don't hold ourselves accountable, and we don't have a support group to keep us accountable to our goals. One of my support groups for, this show is you guys. If I don't produce a show every 2 weeks, you're not going to come back. And I'm trying to do more so we can get more interaction on it. And you hold me accountable to that. I've gotten some emails from folks like, hey, you didn't drop an episode when you normally do. Are you okay? Like, what's going on? I was looking for an episode. I was like, hey, look, I'm sorry. Came up with excuses, because what it is it's excuses once you don't follow through with what you're supposed to follow through. And that keeps me accountable to myself and to you. So the other thing that keeps us from achieving our goals next year are going to be financial concerns. And this is a big one. And it's a real fact of life. Things cost money, right? And they cost even more money now than they used to. And yes, the price of things are going down. But I remember watching a video clip of a congressman, and he goes, the congressman from Louisiana, I forget his name, but he says, I don't like to brag about all the expensive places that I go, but I went to the grocery store the other day. And then people started chuckling and laughing. But that's a real statement right there, right? So if you're trying to achieve your goals and things are going to cost more money, you're going to need to plan out for that. And you're going to need to forward plan that out and project that out of how much money you're really going to need and how much it's going to take you to achieve your goal. Again, in a business strategy, what is a business? Business is money in. That's what it is. If business is always money out, you're not in a business. And if you are in a business that's money out, just give it to me and I will help you out, and we can turn it around to get money in. Business is money in. But we got to have money to do things, right? It's just a normal fact of life. If you need product, you need money to buy it. Don't necessarily need your money to buy it, but you need some money to buy it. So how do you do that? You got to plan that in, and that goes into part of your plan. And looking at all the resources that you need to accomplish your goals and your objectives for this year. So if you're not using smarter goals, you're not adding resources to your goals of what do I really need to achieve my goals, you will fail next year. Just going to happen. Now, lastly, the big one. This one is the biggest one that kept me from achieving my goals the longest. And if you're a buddy of mine out there listening to this episode, I hope you hear this. Perfectionism. Striving for perfection can be a barrier in planning individual development, because you get to a point where everything has to be perfect. And then you get to the point where it leads to indecision and inaction, because you're like, I'm trying to produce the best product that I can. I'm just not producing it to the level of of quality that I want. Well, unfortunately, unless you have the time to do repetition after repetition after repetition of that one item you want to produce, you're never going to get to the level that you're at. It comes through reps. It comes through consistency. So if you want to 5x or 10x your business, you've got to put 5x or 10x the effort into it. If you want to create a video or a show, then you've got to record it and do it, X amount of times and get the reps in. You're not going to be good at first, and that's okay. In fact, I would say that some people prefer that you not be good at first because they like that authenticity, that realism that comes with you trying to do your thing, right? With whatever business it is, especially if you're in it and you're like, you know what, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm doing this. Can you help me out? People will jump on board and help you out in a heartbeat because they know that you're genuine about it. If you come in super polished and really confident, and you should always be confident, don't get me wrong, but if you come in super polished or over polished and you put on this facade of, I'm going to do this, people might take you less seriously because then they're like, oh, he's good. He doesn't necessarily need me. So I don't know if I'm really going to put that much effort into him. I'm not telling you to downplay yourself, but I'm just telling you, be yourself. You are where you are. And in January, we're going to talk with a life coach. And we're going to talk about imposter syndrome. I think a lot of people suffer from that. And that goes back to the perfectionism, right? Like, I'm new to this and I've got to be perfect at what I produce. I need to have the best quality product. Well, do the best quality product with where you are, but if you get nothing out, you're not going to do anything with it. You're going to stall out with your goals and objectives. So you got to do something. No action is inaction, and inaction is failure. Bottom line. So as we end this episode, I wanted you all, to really think about what your goals and objectives are for next year. In the links down below, you can click on any of the social media platforms. Please respond and post what your goals are and how you're going to get after it. And maybe we can create a community where we hold each other accountable to our realistic goals. And I know that you can achieve your goals next year. You got this. You're smart enough. You're disciplined enough. And if you're really driven and you're really disciplined to accomplish them, you will accomplish them all. And if you think that nobody else in the world believes in you that you can accomplish your goals, well, one, you believe in yourself that you can accomplish those goals. And I believe that you can accomplish your goals. So at least you have two people right there, and that's enough. So before we end with all the stuff I'm going to talk about, I want to wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And that's it. This is the last episode of the year, and we typically talk about goals and objectives because as we move into the next year, we got to make sure we're thinking about it now and really a couple months ago to make sure that when January 1st hits, we're off and running and getting after our goals right out the gate. So again, at the beginning, I talked about wanting to build more engagement, wanting to build more of a community. So I'm going to be doing a couple of YouTube live sessions next week. So check out timstatingtheobvious.com. Or check out Tim Stating the Obvious on YouTube. And there's links down below where you can click on that. And when I go live, I will post on social media when and the dates and times of when I'll be going live. And I would love to meet up with you and talk to you all there. So as always, thank you for stopping by and listening to this episode. I really hope you enjoyed it. Before we go, I would like to ask a favor of you. If you could please share this episode with one or two people who might like this topic. And if you haven't followed or subscribed on whatever platform that you're doing that on, please do so. If you got some value out of this episode, please leave a review or comment so other people who haven't found the show yet can get boosted in the algorithm and then they can find the topics and then also join the community. Again, thank you for stopping by. I'm Tim Staten, stating the obvious.